Happy holidays, Internet! It's the end of the year 2021, and while this year may not have been the greatest due to the ongoing pandemic, we still got a slew of great games to keep us entertained in our homes. As tradition, Shacknews has given you the best games released this year. These are the top 10 games of 2021.
I think we're all in for a very big treat.
Save the neck for me, Clark.
Okay, Eddie.
Death's Door invites us to a strange world filled with gorgeous locations and unique characters. Though the game isn't incredibly long, there's so much lore that makes players feel immersed in this living, breathing universe. The combat is challenging and satisfying, and the game's boss fights are a major highlight. Death's Door isn't just one of the best indies, it's one of the best games overall.
And so begins at long last my world peace experiment.
Asuka knew that Ino would pose a threat if she ever awakened, so he created a Jacko to prevent that, in order to save her. That other Jacko...
Arc System Works didn't just produce a good fighting game with Guilty Gear Strive, it changed the genre for the better. Throughout the rest of 2021, no other major fighting game announcement started without the conversation of rollback netcode, either being mentioned or coming shortly after. Then there's just the fact that it's an impeccable fighting game in terms of visuals, mechanics, music, and being more welcoming to new players while appeasing old hands. Arc System Works poured the kitchen sink into making this game play well and look beautiful at every single turn. It was enough to win it several awards throughout our deliberations. It more than deserves its place here. If there's one thing that the staff here at Shacknews loves, it's killing people in video games. Naturally, we love the Hitman series, and its penchant for making murder as fun as a barrel of monkeys. As part of its reimagining for the 8th generation consoles, developer IO Interactive was at a crossroads. After their previous publisher, Square Enix, tried to sell the studio, upper management worked out a deal that saw the studio gain its independence and the rights to the Hitman franchise. Hitman 3 runs on the same game engine that powered the previous 2 games, though it brings with it a host of new features and technology. The quality of the lighting and materials were upgraded from Hitman 2, allowing the sprawling environments to feel just a bit more realistic. IO also tossed longtime fans a bone by announcing plans to incorporate the missions from the first 2 games into Hitman 3. If you have some free time this holiday season, and the only way you can relax is with some murder for hire, make sure you get Hitman 3 to the top of your shopping list.
The boundaries between the universes are coming undone.
Our time has finally come.
Rift Apart stands out as one of the best games in the Ratchet and Clank series, delivering a Saturday morning cartoon-like story with lovable characters, richly detailed worlds, and powerful weaponry. However, it's exploring those worlds that one begins to grasp just what a feat the game really is. If seeing the worlds from a distance doesn't get that point across, maybe using the Rift tether mechanic to warp into another area seamlessly will. More than that, it's when Rift Apart reaches its climax that audiences can truly see what Insomniac has pulled off. It's mile-a-minute action from dozens upon dozens of enemies, all on screen without a single performance hitch or loading screen. As both a story that all ages can enjoy, and as a technological marvel, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is not to be missed.
This is the story of a magical kingdom, one of wizards and warriors. It's an epic tale set upon the high seas, an odyssey through time and space. Pew, 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 pew.
It Takes Two was one of the surprise releases of this year. When we first played it back in May, we knew that it would be in the conversation at the end of the year. It's the rare adventure game that's designed from the ground up to be a cooperative experience, and it executes on that perfectly. There's excellent pacing with puzzles, which cleverly tie into the narratives and themes, as well as just being downright fun to play. It's one of those games that will have you angrily yelling at your friends one moment and laughing with them uncontrollably the next. Hazelight Studios has shown some tremendous growth over the years, and It Takes Two is the company's best work yet.
Okay, you're entitled to your own opinion.
Time is like a tide.
When Returnal started warming up those dormant PS5 consoles this past spring, its unique mix of roguelike features, bullet hell gameplay, and H.R. Geiger-inspired visuals was an instant smash among the few who jumped into the game early. While more than a few may have picked up the game due to the lack of fresh software for the new console, they were treated into a challenging jaunt into sci-fi action. Featuring a generous assortment of firearms and various power-ups, players will have all sorts of ways to approach the fresh levels of hell that Returnal throws their way. Despite being procedurally generated, the environments in Returnal never fail to impress, and the clear and concise layouts make navigation much less annoying than many of its peers. If you need further convincing, Sony felt strongly enough about the job Housemarque did on Returnal that it permanently acquired the Australian dev house this year. We can't wait to see what this team is capable of on the PS5 hardware, with the full force of the PlayStation Empire at its back.
Alone must find meaning amidst the flow.
Approaching the mother load.
I can't believe I'm really here! Psychonauts headquarters! Look at all these gadgets.
The mind is the final frontier of humanity.
I'm ready for anything.
For anyone who followed the development journey of Psychonauts 2, the idea that it could actually release and be a top-tier release might have been a long shot. But the dedicated team at Double Fine has managed to make that dream a reality. A direct continuation of the events in the first game, Psychonauts 2 continues to follow the exploits of Rasputin, a circus acrobat who falls in with a group of special secret agents. It's wild to think how many years of development are here in this game, but the end product is undeniably polished and top-to-bottom good gaming. The dialogue is well written and delivered, the story is riveting throughout, and the use of platforming and powers to traverse a vast variety of funny, ridiculous, and sometimes disturbing mental worlds is fantastically solid. It feels like the doors are open for more in this universe, and that prospect is exciting. But if there isn't another Psychonauts game ever, then I feel confident in saying Double Fine did right by this series with Psychonauts 2. There's no better time to try this game than right now, especially for those in the Xbox or PC ecosystems, as Psychonauts 2 is available on Xbox Game Pass.
Differently.
There's a reason that Halo Infinite has won so many categories at the Shacknews Awards 2021. It's a great game. During our deliberations, we all recognized the various areas that 343 Industries has hit a home run with the delivery of the game. Infinite's multiplayer is on point and a return to what made the series so popular. The campaign and its narrative is the perfect mix of recognizing the past and setting up a path for the future. On top of it all, as a series first, the campaign is an open-world experience that rivals some of the great games in the genre. For a lot of players, there was doubt creeping into their mind as we neared the release of Halo Infinite. Halo 4 and Halo 5 were good games by anyone's standards, but didn't have the same industry-defining appeal that the original trilogy offered. But the murmur of the community started to grow, and soon hushed whispers of hope turned into a full-fledged rejoicing as fans realized that Halo was officially back. Halo Infinite is the complete package, in a visual representation that begs to be compared to the original trilogy. There's a chunkiness to Chief's armor, a simplicity to the multiplayer designs, and the vastness of the Halo ring to explore that has us reminiscing about the first time we stepped foot on the Forerunner structure back in 2001. Though it didn't manage to take home the overall Shacknews Game of the Year award, Halo Infinite manages to stand proud as one of the best games released this year. It's safe to say that everyone expected a Metroid game this year. The writing had been on the wall for some time, but we could have never expected something like this. Nintendo, going back to Mercury's Steam to craft yet another amazing 2.5D Metroid title, was a mind-blower to say the least. Metroid Dread is in one word fantastic. The game harkens back to a different era, presenting players with a tough-as-nails action platform journey through another alien world. Whether you're facing down or running from a deadly enemy, fighting an opposing boss with Samus's growing set of moves, or simply taking in Metroid Dread's stylish caverns and biomes. Metroid Dread is a deeply satisfying adventure all the way to the end. Welcome back, Samus. We've missed you.
This whole island's like a broken record, skipping endlessly on one fulfilling day.
Everybody chose to be here, Colt.
There are a few games, and even media outside of games, that handle the time travel as narratively and mechanically well as Deathloop does. With the addition of the fantastic voice work as we listen to the banter between Colt, Juliana, and so many other great players here, we get an arcane adventure that is equally entertaining as it is intriguing and thrilling at all turns. Arcane has been improving themselves for years in the design of stealth action and adventure. They've clearly been studying up on the finer contenders too, because Deathloop feels like a finely polished shooter as well. Put that delicious art style and music on top, and we've got ourselves a dish that stood out in numerous aspects. Deathloop had a prominent place among a lot of our conversations for awards this year. And when it came down to a top-to-bottom experience, everything it had going for it was enough to get away with our Shacknews Game of the Year 2021. Congratulations to Arcane Studios and Bethesda Softworks. For more top 10s and everything else gaming related, you're already in the right place. You're on Shacknews.com.
Nice try. Enjoy the beach.
Come on.